Alderman Arnold.
Here.
Alderman Bass.
Here.
Alderman Cleaver.
Here.
Alderman Knox.
Here.
Alderman Mills.
Here.
Alderman Skinner.
Here.
There's a quorum.
Next item be invocation led by Pastor Mike Cassidy of Faith United Methodist Church, followed by a pledge of allegiance from Alderman Arnold.
Let's pray. Gracious God, we thank you for this opportunity to gather together, that you've provided us a place to do your work, that this community of Green Valley might prosper, that all people here might prosper, and that your will would be done in all that we do and all that we say. So may we feel your spirit speak through us, speak to us. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item is the approval of the agenda.
No changes, Mayor.
No changes, seeing no proclamations, move on to public comment. We ask the citizens come forward to the microphone and podium, and this will be a sign-in sheet to give your name and address for the record. Anyone wish to address the board this evening? Seeing none, move on to consent agenda.
Mayor, I move that we accept the consent agenda.
I have a motion from Alderman Skinner to accept the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Knox. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The next item is previous business, seeing none. Next item is new business, seeing none. Move on to presentations. We have a presentation from the Grand Valley Partnership this evening. And Tasha, you're going to be leading that up?
There is a lapel mic right there if you'd prefer to use that over the handheld. Do you want me to help?
Let me give this away and then I'll have you help me.
Okay.
There's our report. I do have a gift to take to you. Oh, I forgot my binder. Let me take that. Okay. Good evening. Can you guys hear me okay? Good deal. Good evening, Mayor, Board of Aldermen, and city staff. Thank you for the opportunity to present to you tonight. Tonight, I'm honored to show you an overview of who we are, what we have accomplished this year, and what our goals are for the upcoming year. I've handed each of you a folder. Inside the folder is a printout of what you will see on the screen. I'll give you an overview of each graphic that you see, and please feel free to ask questions as you go. Before we get started in the presentation, let's identify the organization that the Green Valley Partnership represents. The Chamber of Commerce. That definition is a local association to promote and protect the interests of the business community in a particular place. Provide access to valuable resources, discounts, and relationships to help businesses save money and market their products. Great reasons to join your local Chamber of Commerce, make business contacts, receive chamber newsletters, acquire customer referrals, bring credibility to your business, increase your visibility in the community, network opportunities, gain a voice in government. And then, of course, the definition of economic development. It is important to know that economic development is not community development. Community development is a process for making a community a better place to live and work. Economic development is purely and simply the creation of wealth in which community benefits are created. There are only three approaches used to enhance local economic development. Those are business retention and attraction, business retention and expansion, business attraction, business creation. Within the EDC realm, there are extension topics that a community may wish to create programs around. An example of an extension topic is workforce development. Creating additional programs only aid in the ability to serve the community, the business community, in whatever approach they approve. So therefore, if we take that workforce development, if we would create a program based on workforce development, that would aid in our BRE, which is business retention and expansion approach. Creating an incubator shared workspace center will aid in the business creation approach. We are pretty much so the BRE approach. That's who we are. We take a deep dive into that business retention and expansion. Goes hand in hand with being a Chamber of Commerce. So now, if you would look at the screen or the printed presentation that I gave you, I first want to thank Teresa for making it happen that you guys can see it on the screen. The second page shines a light on our board of directors. We are a 13-member board. As you can tell by the business organizations they represent, we have a great diversity within our board. I do have 4 board members here tonight. Kevin Gertz, our president, was so excited about being here, and he actually wanted to talk to you guys. However, he did get an eye injury, so he's not able to be here with us tonight. So we wish him all the best. But I do want to identify the 4 that are here. Their support for being here tonight means the world to me. So if I could have Lance Sheffers, Dan Strader, Rod Knopfsinger, and Martha Meyer, if you guys could stand up and be seen. Once again, I appreciate you guys being here, and your support means the world. So like I said, we have a great diversity within our board. Diversity on a board means that all types of our business sectors are represented. You know, we have business owners, we have a C-suite executives, we have financial institutions, community leaders, and for the first time, we have members that belong to the health field. So on the next page, on this page, you're going to see an overview of our activities. This primarily shows you our reach and our engagement. So out of our membership, out of all the businesses in Green Valley, 45% of those are members of the Green Valley Partnership. So we're really proud of that number. And we're looking to expand that this year, or this coming year. That is one of our goals, is increasing that membership. Our networking, which is primarily what a Chamber of Commerce does, we offer those networking opportunities, get these businesses together. We do offer 3 networking events each year or each month. We have a breakfast, which is our coffee connections. We kind of meet around coffee. Our monthly luncheon and our after hours. And that bar graph just shows you those 3 different events and the attendance to each of those. And then when we talk about our reach and our engagement, I do send out 4 email blasts a month. That does include our newsletter, and that does go out at the very last, the last week of the month prior to the new month starting. That just gives an oversight of what we do have coming up. And then the next graph over on the right is our Facebook audience. I had never looked at our insights before, so this was kind of fun, preparing this for you. I knew that we had about 2,000 likes. However, I had no idea that majority of them were female. So that kind of opens our eyes of what do we need to do to reach those male people that can like our page and help get that word out. At the very bottom, and I know it's super small for you guys to read, so I did make sure that I had the numbers here. The bottom bar graph is about the locations in which we're reaching. 53% of our reach stays right here in the Green Valley, so that's good, right? That's really what we're focusing, promoting our businesses in Green Valley, promoting any community events that are happening. 11% is in Blue Springs, and that third line is 7% Oak Grove. I personally am excited about the metrics. We have come a long way. We still have work to do, but this information proves that we are being seen. Now we just need to keep that momentum up and continue to grow. The next page is a bit about our programs and opportunities that we currently have. I mentioned the monthly luncheons on that last slide. This graphic actually shows you what our monthly luncheons look like. Out of the 12 months, 6 of those are bringing subject matter experts into to our membership. Those that are attending, giving them some kind of educational background. Some of those topics were mental health in the workplace. Tax, of course, is always a big one. Come February, March, we're looking at taxes and how that affects businesses. And then another just quick one was that digital marketing. We did have a company come in, actually a Grain Valley member. They live here in Grain Valley. They did come and present, and that went over really well. 3 of our luncheons are saved to shine a light on our community partners. So we do hear the state of the city, the state of the schools, and Central Jackson County Fire Protection. They touch on whatever is important to them. They were just at one of our luncheons, and they talked about the current drug issues that we're seeing right now with fentanyl. And then, of course, they did do a demo for the CPR because that's something super important. Our Government Relations Committee hosted a legislative luncheon in October. That was a huge success with close to 90 in attendance there. And in November, we've partnered with Bright Futures. And we already have about 100 attendees coming to that one. At the very bottom, you'll see our local First Grain Valley. That is our Think Grain Valley First campaign. This is our way of supporting our businesses and all things community. This is going to be more of a social media type reach. It does have its own Facebook page. It does connect to an Instagram. So we're going to start really pushing that one out. At this time, I am on the original steering committee for the downtown renovation, so through that Missouri Main Street connection. So I'm working alongside the city and other steering committee members to get that launched, and we're super excited about that for Grain Valley. And then, of course, I did add our Kids Classic. It is the only event right now that we have that offers any kind of sponsorship opportunities for our members, but it's sold out every single year, right? So we get 144 golfers on that golf course. I think next year we're actually going to look at doing 2 flights, so a morning and an afternoon. So, that's huge exposure. And with that is our give back event that the Kids Classic does allow us to give a scholarship or 2 out to a Grain Valley graduating senior that's going into either engineering or the construction field. On the next slide, it's an overview of our presence within the community and within the region. I think most of these are self-explanatory, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Of course, I was on the steering committee for the new city brand. I just attended the University Health Focus Group. They meet every 3 years to kind of discuss where they're at and where they're going. I was the representative from Grain Valley there. I am part of Leadership Missouri Alumni. The Grain Valley Fair, Food Truck Fridays, you'll see our presence there. I do go to district meetings with MEDC or MOCC, so those are anagrams for some of the business affiliations I have listed below, and we can go into depth of there. And then, of course, I do have my first meeting with the steering committee for the comprehensive plan that's coming up next week. So those affiliations that I listed are, they're super important to us as an organization. They do make us a stronger organization, and I'm super proud to be a part of them. The Missouri Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Missouri Economic Development Council, that was at MEDC up there, the International Economic Development Council, the Missouri Department of Economic Development, the Kansas City Area Department, or the Kansas City Area Development Council, and then, of course, the Missouri Partnership. The last 2, they're organizations that sell Missouri to businesses looking to come to the Midwest, right? So they're our biggest advertiser for the KC region. Missouri Partnership, obviously, for the state of Missouri. So us even being known by them is pretty special. Then the last page just kind of goes over some of our 2023 goals that we were working on behind the scenes. Increase membership, to launch the EDC committee, and the first objective there is to do a SWOT analysis, launch boot camps. Of course, our tagline is Grow Grain Valley, so anything that we can do to grow Grain Valley is what we're going to aim to do. launch leadership, Grain Valley, increase our social media reach. Some of the smaller ones are things that we're constantly going to be a work in progress. Update the website, continuing to do that. Continuing getting our surveys answered, and we're going to go into depth about those surveys in the next portion of this presentation. Create a young entrepreneur group. I think that's super important. Hire additional staff. I'm still a one-man show there at the office, so I do get stretched kind of thin. And then, of course, I would love to create a shared workspace. I think that would be huge for the entrepreneurial side of small business growth here in Grain Valley. And of course, the last thing is my contact information. I want each of you to have it. On there is the office line, my cell phone, my email. At any time, feel free to reach out. If you have any questions that you would like to ask. I would love if any of you want to be a part of my email blast list and get those newsletters so you can see what we've got going on, see what's going on in the community. I'll be happy to add you to that. Just send me a quick email so I can get you added. And then, of course, follow us on Facebook, right? I mean, so obviously we've got some good things happening on that Facebook. I'm seeing a lot of growth even in the last week. Those numbers even look different from the time I pulled them to do this report till I looked at it today. So follow that. It's the Grain Valley Partnership, Chamber of Commerce / Economic Development Corporation. Would love to have you. I think, if you look at the top of every single one of these pages, being a part of the branding that I went through with the city encouraged the board to look at our brand. So we kind of came up with something after that, knowing that that was a community brand. The relationship is vital that we have with the city. We do so much together, especially in the EDC realm. We needed to look like we were on that same page. So I'm super proud of our brand right now. We definitely had to spell out who we were because Grain Valley Partnership was very confusing to a lot of the outside people, right? They didn't know. Google Analytics will push them. So if they Google search Grain Valley Partnership Chamber of Commerce, it'll get them to the partnership, but or same thing with the EDC, but I just wanted to add that. So now we're going to get onto the business survey responses. So we've been talking a lot about the BRE, the surveys that needed to be done. And so this is just going to be a really quick overview. Once again, I have to give you aggregate information. Everything that I receive in these surveys is very confidential. I will be happy, and I wanted to have a couple printed for you guys to share. I'll be happy to share a PDF of this survey and the questions that are on it to each of you. I did have some printed, but my printer decided to eat them before I came here, so I couldn't really get that, and I was running short of time. So I'll be happy to share that PDF so that you guys have an idea of what kind of questions are on these surveys, so that you better understand the totality of the responses that I'm getting and what that actually does look like. I did pick just a couple of sections that I wanted to touch on. And kind of explain to you why maybe these numbers are important and what we're looking for. So the first part that we're going to go into is workforce. I know across the broadness of everywhere, we're hearing workforce issues. We can't get workers. Obviously here in Grain Valley, we're seeing that with maybe the fast food, right? But all the businesses that I'm talking to responded and even have had telephone conversations with. It's not the way it is for them and their if they're a manufacturer or whatever. Our retention rate of employees is super high here as well. So we're a little bit more quirky than what we're seeing on the big scheme across the region. But this shows you, and so I have to tell you, I sent this survey out multiple times to 267 businesses. That's all the businesses that are on the business license list for inside Grain Valley. Out of those, I did receive 23 responses. It does take a little bit of time to answer these. It is very invasive. So, it's just what I'm hoping to do is actually send it again, reach out by telephone, get in there and talk to them. But I want them to see how I'm presenting this information, right? To build that trust so they understand that I'm not going to share their private information with anybody. unless it's needed. There does come a time when it could be needed, and we'll go into that a little bit. But maybe they would see what this looks like. It would spur their interest into answering. So out of the 23, the total number of employees working within the city limits of Green Valley, this just kind of shows you that one of our larger industries did answer. They have 263 employees. What does that mean? We want to know what our workforce is. We want to know the kind of employees that we have here. It looks better when we do start attracting. We need to know our workforce numbers to make a business feel comfortable that if they do move here, they will get the employees needed to run that business. So that's kind of why we want to know that answer, right? We want to say, no, all these businesses have plenty. They're fine. And so then one of the questions is rate the workforce in each category. So the ability of the workforce, are your employees trained in the technical skills you required? And out of all of those, we're red and we're blue and red, the best. So, our employees are trained to where they need to be. Stability of the workforce, are you able to retain the employees you hire? Obviously, that's in the red. That's also a really good number to see. The next page is going to talk about the education level and experience level that is required by those businesses that responded. So right now, a high school or equivalent is what they're expecting. That is that highest bar, so 89.5%. And then it does go down and list there. And then, of course, it does say what's your desired level of experience. Majority of them are 0 to 2, so that tells me that the businesses that we have here would be good entry level. Maybe our kids graduating get employed pretty easily, quickly. They're not looking, and there's really with that kind of deal, then I would step in and say, okay, how can I help you train your employees, right, if they're not trained enough? And that's meeting with my resources, those type people, making sure that we can get some training in there. So that's super important to know how we can help the workforce and our businesses with that workforce. The next slide is expansion. These are just a few of the responses regarding questions about our business's current facilities. Knowing whether a business owns or leases is important. Owning a business means that they have truly invested in our community, and that is amazing, and means they will be sticking around. The businesses that lease will have lease end dates and may not have the flexibility to expand the way they want due to the restrictions set by their landlord, etc. So knowing the answers to these questions allows us to know which businesses we may need to watch closely so we don't lose them to another community. Total square footage is asked, and that gives a great read on the building inventory, building sizes we have in Green Valley. There's also a question that asks about the amount of square footage a building is looking to add with expansion if they were to add. So like I said, there's quite a few questions under each category. I just chose out some of the ones that I thought were most relevant for you guys. So as you can see, 55.6% of the respondents owned, leased, 44.4 owned. So out of, and then the next question is, do you plan to expand? Yes, 16.7% said yes. The 83.3% said no. What is key to note there, and what I saw is out of the businesses that said that yes to expansion, only one stated that there was not room to expand at their current facility, and they do lease. So that's me going in there going, okay, what are we looking at? When do you plan on expanding? Because this is a business that we do want to keep here in Green Valley. So that's when I move in and I'm like, okay, what do we need? Can we talk to your landlord? Can we find you another building? Can we start maybe looking at a build now? Those questions will then need to start happening sooner rather than later, because the last thing we want is a business closing. And then, of course, I told you about the overview of the current business's square footage. So as you can see, we do have a building that's at least 44,000. We do have one that's 40,000. Total square footage is asked, and it's just really handy for us to know what buildings we have in our inventory should one come up, or should we know of a business that's looking to grow into Green Valley. These I wanted to share with you because there are sections calling doing business in Grand Valley. So it's one of these rating questions. So how do you rate the following business factors in Grand Valley? And as you can see, everything looks really good. Appropriate space availability, business environment, cost of living legislation, and then local customer base are all on there, as well as, local taxes, permitting process, zoning and development services, roads, and traffic. So out of all of those, the top ones are all pretty right there in the excellent to the good. We do need to, do something maybe about our roads, see what we can deep dive into those questions, figure out exactly where. I can tell you that a lot of the businesses that I've talked to, the roads they are talking about are not city-owned roads. We're talking about Jefferson. So we're, in those roads where MoDOT owns them, those are the roads that I'm really hearing a lot about. So kudos to you guys for taking such good care of your roads. How would you rate our utility services in Grand Valley? Obviously, all of those are really good too. So our electricity with Evergy or Spire, city water and communications are all in that good factor. The last two questions, so we're now down to the very end of my report, but the last two questions, I did give you the exact responses from the respondents. You just don't know who those are. So top 3 suppliers. Why would I ask that question? What does that look like? This offers a great insight into what we are watching for when getting these responses in. They're patterns, right? Every question could potentially show us a pattern or a cluster, therefore leading to a target industry /supplier. The blank spaces are just that. The respondent did not or chose not to share suppliers or really doesn't rely on suppliers for their business. So reading through these responses on just the few that have responded, we see 2 patterns. Big box home improvement type stores. So we see Home Depot mentioned a couple times, Menard mentioned a couple times. So those are the type of the patterns that we're watching for. And then, of course, automotive part distributors. So your auto parts store, your Advanced Auto Parts, your O'Reilly's, factory motor parts. So that's another pattern that we're seeing, and it makes sense for us being here, right? I mean, we have a lot of mechanics that are local. So those are the things like when we start getting more responses, and we'll start looking at that to see if there's an industry that we could potentially target to bring to Grand Valley that would help our current business situation, maybe save them money on getting some of their supplies in. And I share the last question because it tells what we, the city or the partnership, can do to assist our businesses in being successful. Community involvement, a lot of changes happened in Grand Valley over the last 2 to 3 years, and most households might not know about new businesses in the area. If any of you have an idea of how we can do that, I would really like to know. I feel like between the city and even the partnership, we get stuff out on social media and everything, but still people that don't know. So obviously that's something that we need to take into account and try to figure that out. Just keep being forward thinking to help downtown grow. I won't read all of these, but I thought it was very, very relevant, and I wanted you guys to see what people are saying, even if it is only less than 23 on that. So once again, those blanks are people that chose not to leave anything. So I hope the report shine a brighter light on the partnership and who we are and what we are. The surveys are going to be a work in progress, and they truly ask a lot of personal questions. I am ecstatic about the 23 responses I received. Believe it or not, that is a great response, even though it is about half of what we were hoping to get. Our initial goal is 30. Like I said, I'll be happy to share the questions from this report. It'll come to you in a PDF. I can't share the link because you would actually have to take the survey in order to see all the questions that way. So I can download those into a PDF and get that shared to you. That way you have a bigger idea. And I am open to any questions.
Does anyone have any questions? No. All right.
And I do want to add just one more thing, and I'm finished. I want what I've presented here tonight to kind of start being a conversation between either it's you guys and Ken to share with me or Teresa to start what you guys are really wanting us to show you, right? I mean, we kind of picked our good numbers and what we were excited to share. But we want to make sure that we are giving you guys what you guys want. So honestly, that can happen in an email form to me, a telephone conversation to me. We can, we can have Ken kind of sit down or have those discussions with you, because we will present again, and it will be a much bigger report that we present in April. This is just kind of the semi-annual, just giving you a touch of everything. But we just want to make sure that we have what you guys want in our forefront as we're moving forward. So,
I do have one question.
Yes.
On your workforce survey and expansions there, it appears that your response was fairly low. What I'm gathering here, the highest you could come up with like 26 response.
23, yes, 23 was the number.
I know it's
It's-
reflective. It's hard to get people.
It is,
to do
it's
surveys
really
and
hard to
stuff
get
like
them.
that.
And for me to go to them, to sit down and do this, it's over an hour, right? I mean, so I was trying the less invasive way, but at some point, I'm just gonna have to say, I have to have this, right? And go in there and sit down with them.
And I just want to make sure I didn't misunderstand that this is a sample of about 10% of the possible business.
Yes, unfortunately, yeah, we were hoping to have, with the first initial push, our goal was 50. I'm not gonna tell you that, we did have we want to know what, 25%, I think is what we're really looking for, right around that. We got half of what we were hoping, right? And
I
it
understand
is
surveys are
tough.
to get.
I'm hoping that even if maybe I share a report like this is what we're doing, this is why we're doing this. Maybe if they see the importance through our lens, it would help entice them a little bit, right? So,
And sometimes talking about the response or lack of response might generate more people to get involved and give their opinion, because actually their opinion is going to stand a lot louder in a small group if they are participating in the process.
Exactly. I think another thing I really want to do is kind of get meetings set geographically, right? I'm not up north very much. They don't really need a chamber, right? I mean, those manufacturing, but they still need me, and I don't think they know that they do.
Right.
So it's getting up there and getting them sitting down on a table, not to do a survey, but getting to meet me, maybe as a group, do roundtable discussions, see what they're needing, and then kind of push that survey home. Like, I really need this. So, anybody else?
No, I was just saying, I wanted to thank Tasha for putting in the work to get this done. I know it's something that the board has asked for a while, is to get a more regular basis of reports from the partnership. So I thought this was a good first semi-annual report, and we'll work on it from there. But thank you for
Thank
work that you did.
Yeah, I've had nothing to go off before, right? So this is the first true report. So make sure that if you guys want more, you just let me know so I can make sure that I get that to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up, we have public hearing for Chapter 400 zoning regulation amendment, Section 400.460G, to change the parking regulations in the downtown overlay district to allow an exception for the transition zone or to the portion of the downtown zone which lies south of Harris Streets.
Mayor, members of the board, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Trozen to give an overview of what you have before you.
Thank you, Mayor and Board. This is basically asking for exceptions within Chapter 400. As you stated in your introduction, there would be two exceptions that would be exemptions to the downtown overlay district and the transition zone pertaining to the parking, which would basically allow that currently in the downtown overlay district, that all parking has to be behind buildings. The waiver would allow now parking between the building and the street and parking lots at the intersections. The city owns 3 vacant parcels that are south of Harris Street on the east side of Main Street. There has been interest in looking at selling those parcels. The developed property to the north and south of these parcels have parking lots that are between the buildings and the street. This amendment would foster economic development for this area. The commission conducted a public hearing on September 14th, 2022. The commission approved Resolution 2022-06, recommending approval to the Board of Aldermen to amend Section 400.460 and provide for the exemption. The public notice was given in the Examiner on Saturday, October 8th, 2022.
Anyone have any questions? I'll open it up. Okay. As this is a public hearing, anyone in attendance who would like to speak for or against, please come forward to the microphone. All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Next up then, we have resolutions. First resolution is R22-63. It's a resolution by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Grand Valley authorizing the city administrator to spend funds to renew the annual software and hardware maintenance and support agreement with Neptune Technology.
Mayor, I move that we approve resolution R2263.
Okay, I have a motion from Alderman Arnold to approve resolution R22-63. Do I have a second?
I second.
Second, Alderman Skinner. Any discussion?
Mayor, members of the board, Neptune is the company that we use for our water meters, and then the subsequent software and hardware that goes along with that. So this will be our yearly support agreement with them. It's a group that we've been happy with, and if you recall, I guess when we start a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, we started we already had kind of the wireless reads where people didn't have to actually get out and look at each of the meters, but getting with them and doing the system to where they're read without anybody even driving down the street. And so we've been working on that, and it's also a way for our utility billing staff to be able to tell when people have a leak or something like that. You can better go back and track that thing. So it's been a good customer service tool as well. Like I said, we've been happy with them, and this would just be continuing that agreement for another year.
Okay. Anyone have any questions, comments? All right. Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. 6-0. Next, we have resolution R22-64. It's a resolution by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Grand Valley authorizing the city administrator to execute an agreement with Rodriguez Construction and Underground Incorporated for the Buckner-Tarzany water line extension.
Mayor, I move that we approve resolution number R22-64.
I have a motion from Alderman Bass to approve resolution R22-64. Do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Knox. Any discussion?
Mayor, members of the board, if you remember, one of the capital improvement projects we had was a water line extension along Buckner-Tarzany. Basically went from the city-owned land on Buckner-Tarzany, so we're on the west side of the road, up to Rock Creek Lane, which is kind of just south of where like Dollar General would be. The point of that was to create a loop that was there that was missing. It's something we've known about for quite a while. And the unique thing about this one, in the days of everything costing more than we thought it was going to cost, we actually had 10 bidders, and the bid came in under what we budgeted and what the engineer's estimate was. So hope everything goes that well on the police station and anything else that we're doing, but at least for this project, it was positive. And so Rodriguez Construction Underground is the lowest and best bid that we're proposing.
Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. 0. Next up are ordinances.
Bill number B22-28. This is an ordinance by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Green Valley, Missouri, amending section 105.060 of the municipal code regarding ward boundaries.
Mayor, I move that we accept the second reading of Bill 2228 and approve his ordinance number 2400.
I have a motion from Alderman Mills to approve Bill B22-28 for its second reading, making ordinance 2400. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Knox.
I think it was Alderman Cleaver, but
I get those earbones fixed.
We sound a lot alike.
When I get my earbones fixed. All right, any discussion?
The other night I expressed some concerns about moving anything out of Ward 2's area. because they're basically landlocked between Ward 1 and Ward 3. They pretty much can't go to the east because of the wetlands and Blue Springs to the west. I asked Mr. Murphy to give me some numbers if that particular section there that's coming out of Ward 2 into Ward 1 was how it would affect the numbers, and it stayed within the 10% requirement. It would put them at 31 for Ward 1, 37.6 for 2, and 31.4 for Ward 3, if I got that right. And so it falls within the 10% that there was required by statute. And I just feel taking anything away from 2 down the line is going to cause an issue, because 3's definitely has plenty of growth potential. 1's has growth potential to the east, west, and in the south. So I just would like to ask to reconsider an amendment to leave the portion there from Ward 2 in Ward 2 as opposed to putting it into Ward 1. So moved.
Does have any questions or comments? All right. Seeing none, this will be roll call.
Alderman Skinner,
Yes.
Alderman Mills,
Yes.
Alderman Knox,
Yes.
Alderman Cleaver,
Yes.
Alderman Arnold,
No.
Alderman Bass.
Yes.
The next one is Bill number B 22-29. This is an ordinance amending Title IV, Land Use of the Municipal Code of Ordinances in Section 400.460 Downtown Overlay District pertaining to parking regulations.
Mayor, I move that we accept the first reading of bill number B 22-29 and bring it back for its second reading by title only at our next regular session.
All right, I have a motion from Alderman Skinner to approve Bill B 22-29 for its first reading, bring it back by title only for its second reading. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mills.
Alderman Mills. All right, any discussion?
Mayor, members of the board, this is the corresponding ordinance to the public hearing that we just had.
Okay, any discussion or comments? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Bill number B 22-30. This is an ordinance calling an election in the city of Grain Valley, Missouri on April 4th, 2023.
Mayor, I move that we accept Bill 22-30 for its first reading and bring it back for its second reading by title only.
A motion, Alderman Arnold, to approve Bill B 22-30 for its first reading, bring it back by title only for its second reading. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Mills. Any discussion?
I think this one's pretty self-explanatory.
We want an explanation. No.
Well-
All right. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That is it for ordinances. Next up, city attorney's reports.
Mayor, members of the board, I just returned from Portland, Oregon. Spent the latter part of last week and through the weekend attending the International Municipal Lawyers Association meeting. It was a good meeting. Actually, Rich Wood, who occasionally covers the meetings, also went, and got to learn a lot of the high-level kind of national issues, First Amendment issues, things like that. So great trainings at those. Also, just to a reminder to everyone, not this coming Friday, but the following Friday, our office will be closed. We're going to be moving from our current office space to a new office space a little bit further north in Lee Summit. And we're going to use that Friday to make that change. So if anything comes up, let us know. We will have our attorneys in the Jefferson City office will be kind of covering the basis for us while we do that. And we hope to have the move completed in just one quick day and then be back to business that following Monday. That's all I have.
All right. Next up, city administrator and staff reports.
We'll start with Ms. Ozenbaugh.
I had Ms. Logan pass out some flyers, but we have scheduled our first big step in the downtown revitalization project for November 15th from 6 to 8 p.m. It will be at the Historical Society. We'll have 4 facilitators to kind of run different tables around topics for the Main Street program. I would ask that if you're free, all of you attend and maybe bring somebody with you. This is really our chance to start visualizing what could be downtown, and it will set the direction of how we move forward with that. So I think we've got it on Facebook and social media now. If you're on there, if you could share that. I know some of you already have, but continue to do that and spread the word, because we really need a good turnout to get a good representation of what people would like.
Mr. Davies.
Mayor and board, we talked a little bit at the budget workshop about replacing the playgrounds in Armstrong Park. One is built in the late 90s, our 5 to 12-year-old playground, and then our 2 to 5-year-old playground was built in 2002. So part of the budget discussion back in October was replacing those 2 playgrounds with an all-inclusive playground, which would be one larger structure that would be suitable for kids with all abilities. Part of that was we had applied for a grant back in 2021, Land Water Conservation Fund grant, to help fund that endeavor. We were supposed to be notified of official award in September of 2021, and the state got delayed on things and so forth and so on. If you recall in our workshop, City Administrator Murphy had mentioned that we thought we were in line to receive grant dollars for this playground. Well, a couple of weeks ago, we got our official notification that we did receive a grant for this project. There was 30 projects that were submitted to the state for review. We were one of 17 that received awards. I think there was $5.3 million that were asked for as part of this grant. So our grant, or our portion that we received, to be exact, is $121,000, or $121,650 is what we've been awarded for this project. So we're planning on getting that started here pretty quickly, and try to have that completed around this time next year. Again, part of the LWCF funding is that whatever you do, it is in perpetuity. Back in the early 70s, the city applied for LWCF funds for some shelters and some park amenities in Armstrong Park. So that chunk of land is already designated LWCF, which means that park, the amenities therein, must stay in perpetuity, as would this playground. So that park is protected, and it is our flagship park. It's a great location, and so we're happy to keep that the way it is. But I just wanted to let you all know that we have officially received that award for the new playground. Lastly, just a reminder, this upcoming Friday is our Downtown Spooktacular event. This is formerly our Trail or Treat event that we had up at Butterfly Trail. It's now downtown. It's from 6:30 to 8:30 this Friday. We'll be basically on the roads of Main Street on the east side, Walnut on the north, Gregg on the west side, and then Front Street on the south side. I believe we have a little over 35 vendors, local vendors, signed up to participate. And once again, the city will have activities that we'll provide at the community garden area that's down there at the corner of Walnut and Main. Again, it's free to the community, and we hope weather cooperates. We hope to see you all out there. That's all I have.
And then based off of I believe it was our last board meeting, possibly the board meeting before that, we had a resolution that had to do with streetlights from Evergy. Mr. Trozen and his community development team did write those questions down and get those answers. So that is the handout that you had in front of you. So if you had any questions about that, I'm sure Mr. Trozen would be happy to answer. If not, you could take it with you and at a later time, ask any questions that you had.
Well, some of the questions were those that I brought up. We're looking at 787 streetlights out there, and at a low of $20 a deal. That's, you're over $188,000 a year we're spending. Deal that's probably actually higher than that in the budget, probably closer to $200,000, because some of these are more expensive. So that's knowing that it's it's part of the reason why I was talking about going solar, so that we could get away from some of that cost. I know that Evergy's not gonna sell solar to them, because that just takes money out of their pocket instead of the other. I'd more like the staff to look at the possibility of buying, solar lights from a, third-party company out there that can sell them to us, and then we can mount those on the poles in areas that we're needing street lights, and we only have the one-time expense to put it up, and then, light maintenance for it. These are getting better and better as time goes along.
I think in those scenarios, though, I mean, you wouldn't be able to put them on the light poles that are there. You'd have to go wherever there's a power pole, because Evergy owns those. I don't think they would let you put a third-party light. Is that what you were talking about?
Well, and even if we have to put up our own, but I would, usually those are kind of a shared space there,
No, we're having to go through the process now of asking to even be able to put a flag on, or banners on the poles that they have.
But even, I think sometimes you're not looking at a significant pole that has to be put up that's holding wire up. It could be a lot less expensive pole or post that we're able to put up just look at the cost to see if it's something feasible to stem the continued cost of lighting the streets and so forth. If this is something that we can go and, go green, as everybody's saying we should go, to protect the environment and so forth.
Are these, solars, are they, is the quality very good? Light wise, obviously we get what we get with the street light. Are these solar lights kind of dim? They bright? Maybe you guys, do you know?
The ones I spoke to at MML stated that they put out the same lumen, and you can adjust them for the amount of time that you want them to be on. You can adjust them by how bright they want. You can even shut them off from a distance or whatever. It all depends on what you're wanting to invest in the capabilities that you want to have. We really won't know a lot of those answers for a fact until we look into what's available and what would meet our need. And that's just kind of where I'm at, is we need to find out what is available and what we can do to help make things a little less costly around here.
And do we know any communities that have them that we could call and ask?
I don't know of any communities that have, at least in this area of the country, that have done that. Most of the things, Mr.
Joe, you
Oliver-
work with a lot of places. Do
Other
you know
than,
anybody that
other
have-
than communities that own their own utilities, I mean, there's Independence Power and Light who have.
But they're not doing solar, they're probably still doing.
No, they own their own utilities. They have their own staffing. They put up their own poles. There's staffing. There's all kinds of costs associated with putting up your own poles, with putting up your own. You have to have your own staff. You have to have specialized staff to put up those poles, and equipment to put up those poles. But other than that, I don't know.
I got carried insurance on them too, don't you? Because now we're not doing that, right?
Also, battery type solar. How long will the battery last? Is there any
That's all.
liability? Is there any liability if there is an accident? Do we assume that liability if there's an accident, there's not enough light, in regards to a light on a street? I don't know.
And we assume some of that along with utility company now, with the lights that are out there now aren't as bright as what they used to. We'll be on the list of people. I mean, they'll throw everybody's name in the hat when it comes to anything on litigation, but I just think it would be something to be forward thinking and looking toward the future where they're trying to cut energy use and become more green. We ought to be ahead of the curve and look into it to see what the options are available. If it's too cost prohibitive, then it's not something we can do. But as we continue to grow, it may be something we can grow into.
Yeah, the only thing I had was one of the questions I had asked that you had responded to, and I appreciate that, was if there was ever a path to ownership with these, or if there was, say, Evergy decided that they were going to start raising their rates. Was there the option to purchase these? And I see that, I assume you contacted them or looked at the contract, and that is concerning that we're paying for these and then there's no option for ownership. I mean, there's not much we can do with it. I get the expenses of us having a crew to go out there and put these up. I mean, I get all that, but that is concerning that we're kind of at the whim of Evergy on this. So, you know, I think it's worth, maybe not today, but in the future to, you know, investigate this. I mean, if there is the potential 10 years, 15 years from now to, you know, have our own streetlight department that puts these up. And it kind of stinks to be at the whim of a utility, so.
Do we own our parking lot lights, or do we lease those through Evergy?
No, I think those are ours. That private stuff like that is ours. Yeah. They're mostly everything that's in the right of way is what is included in that list.
Else? Other- Do you have any more?
Yep. The only other thing, I just want to let the board know that, I believe actually over the weekend, but definitely by today, the posting for the police chief is out there. So that is out. I believe it goes until November 17th-ish. It was around a month that would be open before that would close and they'd start moving forward with that process. But it's out there on a few different sites. I think we got it up today on the web. It's on our website. But it is out there, so there's a link to apply for anyone that's interested in that. And then the only other thing I had was Joe did say that he was in Portland, that he did forget that the reason he was in Portland was, and I had to write this down. 'cause
I
it's
had
a
it
long-
down too.
Wow.
I
You
just
want to
put-
read it?
I just put Joe's
Well,
award.
see, I went a little further. I wrote everything. The Marvin J. Glink Private Practice Local Government Attorney Award. He said by the International Municipal Lawyers Association, but he was the winner, I guess, of that for the year. So
I kind of thought he'd be sitting on the table in front of him tonight, but it's not.
yeah, bring a
I
trophy.
thought he'd
up.
have his own little bag he's carrying around like a little briefcase.
It's too heavy.
Yeah.
Big.
Oh.
Had to buy another seat for it on the plane. But that was all that we had for staff comments.
Next up, Board of Alderman reports and comments. Alderman Arnold.
Yeah, our high school band has been doing some competitions, and they went to St. Louis, received 9th out of 62 bands, which qualified them for the Bands of America in Indianapolis, where they competed in out of 84 schools from 9 states. They were champions in their division, and they're competed in the finals and came out in 10th in the overall. Competed against schools much larger than what Green Valley is. So they have been invited on to the international or the national competition in Indianapolis in November 10th through the 13th. So they're making Green Valley proud with their continued activities there. The tennis squad won 3rd place in state competition. So kudos to those. And the couple of girls were the 2nd place in doubles, which is the first time for that in Green Valley history. And girls golf qualified for state as a team for the first time in the school's history. So our athletics programs in the schools are doing quite a bit as they're moving along. So the kids have a lot to be proud of. And of course, our football team is going on to competition and gets a 1st round bye because they've done so well in the last half of the season.
Alderman Mills.
Nothing at this time.
Alderman Bass.
Nothing at this time.
Alderman Skinner.
Just congrats to the football team, conference champs. It's pretty awesome. That's all I have.
Alderman Knox.
Ken, where are we standing on our police facility?
So the bid packets went out this last week, I believe, from McCown Gordon. So they'll be out for a few weeks, and then they'll get those bids in, go through them. We'll look at it, and then I think it's scheduled for the 2nd meeting in November. We'd be coming back to you guys with that guaranteed maximum price. That's part of the construction manager at risk process. So hope everything goes smooth on that. But they decided not to do construction over the winter. They thought that would be too cost prohibitive to not knowing what the winter is going to be like and the whole stop go side of it. So look at a start date of, I think it was the end of March third week of March, I think is what's down on the calendar. So within the next month or so, we should have something coming back to you all to approve.
That's all I have.
Alderman Cleaver?
I just want to say congratulations, Joe. That's it.
All right. Next up, Mayor's Report. Cross off Joe's award. We talked about it. I didn't have a fancy name for it. One thing, kind of piggybacking on what Alderman Arnold said about the schools. We had talked about, I know the school board recognizes a lot of the school activities once the season and stuff are done at the school board. So we're going to start sending proclamations to those meetings from the city for those students. So just want to let everybody know we're going to start doing that. I know we used to bring them in and do that. Sometimes it doesn't always work out great. So we thought, well, we'll just piggyback off what the school board does and send proclamations at that time. So that's all I have. I do know we have an executive session for
1, legal, 2, real estate.
in real estate. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn into executive session.
So moved.
Alderman Bass. We have a second.
Second.
Second, Alderman Skinner. Any discussion? All right, will be roll call.
Alderman Arnold? Alderman Bass?
Yes.
Alderman Cleaver?
Yes.
Alderman Knox?
Yes.
Alderman Mills?
Yes.
Alderman Skinner?
Yes.
All right, adjourn executive session.